Hi, and welcome back to AMC Presents. I'm your host, AI Santa Claus. Today, we're thrilled to bring you a conversation with the legendary conductor JoAnn Falletta. With over 135 recordings to her name, Maestra Falletta is one of the most celebrated classical artists of our time. She's a two-time Grammy winner with 6 nominations and the longtime conductor of the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. Recognized by Gramophone as one of the world's top conductors, her influence on the classical music world is unmatched. AMC creator William Ford has had the pleasure of interviewing JoAnn before, and those conversations became some of our most popular videos on youtube.com/@AtlantaMusicCritic. Today, William catches up with JoAnn to discuss her brand new release of 3 stunning recordings. You'll get insights into her creative process, her inspirations, and what makes these recordings so special. JoAnn's warm, approachable style makes her a joy to listen to, and we're sure you'll love the wisdom and stories she shares. Just a reminder to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It's a small thing for you to do, and a great holiday present for us. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/AtlantaMusicCritic to become a patron at any level. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the interview, no matter the season.
Hey there. Hey, and thanks for taking the time. It's great to see you again.
Great to see you too. Thank you.
You seem to be keeping busy.
Yes, I am. I mean, and it's all happy, busy. It's all good things. A lot of concerts. So now more traveling, of course, again, and and a lot of recordings too.
You've been traveling pretty much globally.
I've started to. I mean, from past, since the pandemic ended, a lot of things that were canceled were rescheduled. So I have been traveling. I have been traveling a lot, and now we'll do more global traveling too.
I assume that's a real perk for you.
I enjoy very much being in other countries, but the traveling part is I can't say it's a perk. I mean, the traveling is difficult and it takes a lot of time. It is very tiring, but being in a different country, working with musicians that are not your friends that you see every day is really a wonderful experience, and I learn a lot from that.
You've been to the what we call the Far East a fair amount.
I have, not as much as although I've been to Japan, I've been to Korea, and I've been to China, and I've been to Taiwan. Uh, I guess that's about it. I'm scheduled to go back to China next winter, so I'm looking forward to that for 3 weeks. And it struck me one thing, William, I have to say that even if people don't speak your language, there's something so universal about music that makes everyone feel comfortable at once, it sounds like a truism, like music is an international language, but it really is. I mean, people in China play Tchaikovsky very much in the same way, but people in New York play Tchaikovsky. They respond in the same way to this music. So musicians have so much in common.
Do you notice a difference in their audiences from our audiences?
Oh, audiences can be very different. For instance, in Europe, I just conducted in Liverpool. The audience is very warm, very responsive, claps a lot, but doesn't give standing ovations. That's just not an English thing. And that's true for much of Europe. But they do bring people back many more times than in our country. And sometimes when I have a European soloist, I have to say, um, we don't give as many returns to the stage generally as you're used to. That doesn't mean they didn't love it. It's just our tradition doesn't do that. So there's that. And in China, that I don't know if it's changed now. I haven't been there for since the pandemic. So they stop clapping when the artist goes off the stage. They immediately stop because the artist is no longer visible. And then the artist comes on the stage again and they'll clap. So sometimes, again, artists who aren't used to that, they come right off, right, they leave the piano, go right out of the stage, and people stop clapping. And they're horrified, horrified. I mean, they clap for like 3 seconds. And I said, no, no, just go out. And some of them were, no, I'm not going out. They're not clapping. I said, no, just go out. That's their tradition. And of course, the moment he takes a step out, they're clapping again. So it's a little bit different, but generally people respond to music in a similar way.
Right. Okay. I know one of the things that we want to talk about are your new recordings. And
Yeah.
I was looking over a bit on the internet, and so far you've issued about roughly 135 different recordings
Well,
in your
yeah,
career.
probably that's right. Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's probably right.
That seems to make you one of the most frequently recorded classical artists, at least in modern time.
It was a very lucky confluence of events. When I became the music director, this is 25 years ago, of the Buffalo Philharmonic, Naxos was looking for an American orchestra. They had a lot of orchestras in Europe. And Klaus Heyman contacted me and asked if Buffalo and I were willing and interested in being a Naxos artist, artist orchestra. And I said yes. And I didn't realize what adventure it was going to be because Klaus then said to me, but you have to realize that I'm looking not for pieces that I already have recorded, which is really just about everything. I realized after the fact, I want you to find something new. And it doesn't need to be contemporary. It doesn't need to be a new now, just something that people don't know that has fallen through the cracks, that has been unjustly neglected. It was the start of this great adventure, and we were able to make those recordings because of a clause in our contract that allows us to use part of the musician's salaries to make recordings. So we've been making one or two, sometimes three recordings a year, and it's been a lot of unusual repertoire. So Naxos gave me a good challenge. I thought it was for me a fantastic thing because it made me be adventurous. It made me look all the time, be open to new music, be looking for new music that people don't know. And it also helped our orchestra grow tremendously in the preparation of playing music at a very high level, knowing that it's going to be recorded, it's going to be kept and people will hear it. That really ramped up how they approached preparation for this, and also the idea that many of the pieces they were playing they had never heard or played made them also be quite adventurous, spend a lot of time with that music. So I think for all of us, me and the orchestra and the community of Buffalo, it's been a great experience.
How in the world did you find Hofmeister, Wiet, and so on for the golden age of the horn?
Well, that was thanks to my two hornists. I mean, this is an extraordinary effort because we have two superstar horns, and they both happen to be from Poland. Jacek came over maybe about 20 years ago. Daniel came over about 10 years ago. Daniel was a protege of Jacek. He's a younger man. The two of them can play anything. I mean, they are truly virtuosos. And this was their dream to make this CD together. And they pointed out to me that these pieces were never played anymore. They had fallen through the cracks. They were kind of forgotten works because they were so difficult to play in concert. They were incredibly difficult. That's so the golden age of the horn was this short period in the 18th century where the hornists developed this astonishing ability to play very um, complicated passages, very high tessitura, very low tessitura at very fast speeds. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And remembering that they were playing on the natural horn as well, so that all that changes were done with lips and hands, in the bells. So I understood why they were never played. I mean, this was extremely difficult music, but that was their dream. So we started it it took us a long time to do it because we started it just as the pandemic was happening, and then we had to slowly wait and then record them one at a time. So I learned the pieces. I guess I had known of Leopold Mozart's double horn concerto, but not the others. Even the hornists may know of them, but don't play them. So it
Right.
was a big feat for the two of them, and I think they were amazing.
It did not sound like it was recorded live, in front of an audience and extracted from, say, two or three concerts. Was it? Did I mishear?
It was, but we also had a patch session. Well, they were live concerts because the way we record, we in our contract we have to prepare it with a concert. So they were all played in concert. But then afterwards, there was what we call a patch session where the orchestra takes a little bit of a breather. They have something to eat, we bring it in, and then we tackle it where we can stop. But that patch session usually is not more than an hour. So I would say most of what we have on those discs, 85% of it comes from what happened in the concert.
Do you participate in the post-production editing of getting the live recording together with the patch session and so on?
Not hands-on in a way. Bernd, our engineer, will send me his best bet of a first edit. And then I will send him all of my wishes, my wish list that, yes, this sounds wonderful, but I have four spots in the first movement I really think we need to change because of intonation issues or whatever it is. This wasn't clear. This one has a little chip in it. We want to be careful. So I sent him back lists, and that goes on maybe three or four times. Maybe by the fifth time round, we have it to the point where that we're really both very happy with it. Then we send it to Naxos, and Naxos produces it. And they were very keen on this project, I guess because it is music that is not commonly known.
I know that you record also for your own house label, Beau Fleuve.
Beaufleuve. Beaufleuve in French means beautiful river, and it was the first name of the city of Buffalo by the French missionaries who came to our part of the country and saw the Niagara River, which culminates, of course, in the falls. And they called the place Beaufort, beautiful river. So we use that, and we use our own label for things that Naxos doesn't really want from us. For instance, we just put a Beethoven 9 as a special gift to the community on a CD. Now, Naxos doesn't want a Beethoven 9. They probably have 50 of them, and that's not what they're looking for. So but there were other pieces, also new pieces, living composers that are very anxious to get their piece on disc so it can be sent to radio stations, it can be sent to critics, it can get some play that Naxos wasn't so keen on. Naxos also requires mostly that we do one composer CDs, which you'll see as you look through our Naxos repertoire. It's all the music of Joseph Suk, or Kodai. They still have that pattern, which serves them very well because it's like a library too. I mean, where you know where to find this music because they have it so well cataloged. Now, sometimes we wanted to be able to put several pieces on a disc or record one of our own players as soloist and have several composers. So that gave us a kind of freedom to break away from exactly what we were doing for Naxos and do something else. And that's been very much fun for us. And now we send these discs, Beaufleur to Naxos, and they distribute them digitally. So you can hear all of those Beaufleur discs on the major platforms because Naxos is now curating them or coordinating it with us.
So you all don't have to go through the process of getting them streamed and so on. Noxos handles that for you.
Naxos handles it for us, and they are constantly doing that. So they're experts at it, and it gets our things out right away, which is great. For myself, I like CDs and I listen to CDs, but I realize, William, a lot of people are not listening to CDs anymore.
No.
It's just not the way young people are listening. They listen on their phones, they download something, or they just stream it just to hear it once. And that is very important. That's the way people are consuming music. So we really feel we're in good hands with Noxos because they get them out right away, and they keep track of how many hits we have on every track that we have. We notice that it's a lot more of people listening to one track, rather than a full symphony, or listening to one movement, or they just pick and choose what they want. And there's one track in that I did with the Virginia Symphony, the music of Adolphus Hailstork, a piece of his called Kumbaya, which was a second movement of three spirituals, Kumbaya, that when I looked a couple of weeks ago, just looking to see what he had on there, had 32 million hits.
Really?
So that to me, it's hard to believe. Just that single Kumbaya. Now that's a very famous African folk song, so that maybe that's how they found it, but still 32 million hits. Now nothing else we have done has ever come anywhere near that. But it just shows the power of this new way of listening. It's really incredible.
On the Beethoven's Ninth, I again did a little bit of internet research, and it, in addition to Beethoven's Fifth, the Ninth is probably one of the most frequently recorded pieces of music. I'm wondering what you wanted to achieve in your new recording, which is maybe the 150th on the market.
Right, right. Well, I have to be honest, we never intended to record it. We played it, and we played it on the day that the ninth was 200 years old. I think that's what it was. Yeah, the ninth was 200 years old. 1824, we played it on that day in 2024. So we were celebrating that, and we had no intention of releasing it. We record all of our concerts just for our archives. But I was very, very moved by the chorus, and I have to tell you, and I'm sure every chorus would tell you the same thing. Choruses were really in trouble during the pandemic. I mean, they were either not singing, or they broke up, or they decided never to be in a chorus again. I mean, it was a bad time for choral singing, especially avocational chorals singing. It was just I feared that people would never come back and sing in an amateur chorus, but I was wrong. Luckily, I was wrong. Between ideas that I had and ideas that our chorus master had, we were able to build up the chorus again. So it slowly got stronger. It went from like 16 people who were remaining in the chorus to a chorus now of 125, I think it is. So they sang so well and they sang with such joy. And I thought, you know what, we owe it to them to give them something to be proud of. So the idea of releasing it was really for the chorus to have something to celebrate at Christmas. We usually have a disc at Christmas time, but William, we've gone through all of the classical Christmas repertoire. We've recorded, Sleigh Ride, and we've recorded, the Winter from the Four Seasons, and everything possible. And we had nothing left to give as a Christmas item. So I thought, let's put the disc, let's put the ninth on the disc, and let the chorus and soloists and orchestra just enjoy having a version that's theirs. So that's what we did. And then we were able, because we had a little bit of room, we were able to put in a piece that was just written for us. We were celebrating my 25th year and the 90th birthday of the orchestra. And I asked a dear friend of mine, Darren Hagen, to write a piece for us to celebrate that. And I just left it up to him. I said, just a piece about Buffalo. And he wrote something called City of Light, which was the kind of moniker that was given to Buffalo because it was the first city that had widespread electric light for the whole city because of Niagara Falls. It was easy. And so they were known as the City of Light for many, many decades. And we put that on, and I like the idea of here's something written in 2024 and something written in 1824, and they can coexist on the same disc. We could never have done that with Naxos, but we did it on our own disc.
Was this recorded again from a live, I assume a live
This
show?
was live. This
Yeah,
was live and no patch at
no
all
patch.
because the we had no intention, yeah, we had no intention of ever issuing it, but the chorus was really special, I think, in this performance, and having worked with them now for 25 years, I thought, we should celebrate them. We should celebrate their coming back to life, which they did, and there are a lot of young people in the chorus. We're doing a concert this weekend, concerts this weekend, for instance, Christmas concerts. And we have gotten the high schools to send their two best singers to sing with us. So we have an additional 25 or so high school kids singing our concert with us who were chosen by the music teachers as the people that could do this. So that I feel very optimistic about the future of choral singing because I see how they react to it. I see how much it means to them, to be able to sing with an orchestra around them. So this was a way to celebrate.
When you have soloists come in, as you did with Beethoven's Ninth, do you talk with the soloist before about what you want, or do you let them just sing it on out as it's going on and then you shape it? How does that work?
Well, William, somewhere in the middle, because what I do is I always arrange an hour or an hour and a half session with just the soloists, and we have a pianist who's, accompanying them, just the soloists. We go through it, and we talk about tempos. And I'll take my tempo, and then I can hear a little bit if they're uncomfortable. Is that a little bit too slow for you? Shall I move it? Yes. Can we try it a little faster, JoAnn? And we try that. Or they'll ask that, I really like to take some time here. Is that going to be okay for the orchestra? And it's in that 90 minutes that I think we come to terms with, yes, this is how we're going to do it. And
Got it.
generally, of course, my feeling is it really needs to be something that they're comfortable with. They're singing these treacherous parts. They're very difficult, really, in some tessituras that are very difficult to sing in. They need to be comfortable. And when I talk about my idea of the trajectory or the flow of the section or the impetus of the section, they understand that, and we can probably come up with something that feels good for both of us. So that's very important. Then we have at least two or three rehearsals with the orchestra.
You see my t-shirt?
Oh, I see it. I don't really know where that came from, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's very nice. I wear it to the gym. So far, nobody's asked who's JoAnn Falletta, but that aside, it's nice. When are you going to have a recording with you playing the guitar?
Well, I have made a number of recordings. It's all chamber music, and they're not on Naxos. This is all pre-Naxos. There's some on Albany. Uh, if you look at my list, I think I have a list called recordings or something like that. Or there's about 4 or 5 discs. I used to do. I don't have time anymore. I used to do a lot of arrangements or transcriptions for guitar and clarinet and bassoon because I played with two woodwind players. So there's a lot of things that I rewrote for the guitar and I think work really nicely on guitar, including the Schubert Arpeggione for clarinet and guitar. But I don't. I wish I had time to do it now. No, I'm a little bit lapsed about playing guitar because of all the studying.
Do you still practice guitar?
I still practice, but I'm not, I guess I feel sad in a way because guitar was really my life. That between the traveling and the difficulty of transporting instruments still, even though, you think that people understand, I can't always do it every day. So it's, it still remains the love of my life.
The final one that I wanted to talk about is your contemporary landscapes.
Yes, yes. Oh, I love this. I love this one. I'm so happy with this, and I'm so proud of this one. This one took us 2 years to do. And we commission a lot of works with the Buffalo Philharmonic. We ask living composers, young composers mostly, would they like to write a piece for us? Or in some cases, we ask them, for instance, in the case of Kenneth Fuchs, he had written Point of Tranquility for a band, a beautiful. He had gotten a commission from a large band to write that piece, and I kept telling Ken, I said, Ken, I think it's an orchestra piece. I think you need to rewrite it, get the strings in there. I mean, change it. And he said, okay, I'll do that for you. And I think it's so stunning. I love that piece. He rewrote it. Well, he went back to the beginning and wrote it for an orchestra. So that's how that came about. Russell Platt visited Buffalo and fell in love with the artwork of Clifford Still. We have a very big collection of Clifford Still paintings in our museum because he knew Buffalo and he worked in Buffalo and he got a lot of the museum got a lot of the paintings when he was just starting out. So we have stunning paintings of Clifford Still. And Russell said, I just can't believe those paintings. I want to write a piece about them. And we said, we love that and we'll play it. So we did. And I think his pieces is truly effective and strong. I mean, it's modern voice, it's very modern voice, but Randall Spain, it was a situation where I know Randall for a long time and I've played his music, and he's told me he was working on an oboe sonata. And I said, he sent it to me. So what do you think? I'm just starting on this piece. What do you think? I'll show you a little. And I said, the oboe part is beautiful, but why not make it an oboe concerto? You know, oboists have very few 21st century, 20th century
Hmm.
concertos. There's not many. Um, you could really enrich the repertoire. He said, well, I could do that, I guess. He said, but who would play it? I said, we'll play it. Our principal, Henry Ward. I'll show this to him. Well, Henry fell in love with a little bit that he saw. He was very excited about it. So Randall went ahead, and Randy went ahead and wrote the oboe concerto. So, and we gave the world premiere of that. So, and Ji Wang, my friend Ji, she had wanted to write a piece about the pandemic. And she had such an optimistic view about the fact that the pandemic would actually bring us closer together. And maybe it did in some ways. I hope it did. It did for a while. That's her piece, which again is beautiful. She's a Chinese American composer, and she wrote The Winter That United Us, meaning that, you know, that first winter that was so bad and no one knew what was going to happen, and we were all frightened. It did bring us together. So again, a beautiful piece. So these are true premieres, 21st century, and they are all strong. Each is different. I mean, individual voices, their individual backgrounds. I'm just so proud of those composers. And again, I'm glad that we can get them out over the air and have people hear them.
I have to say, the Fuchs was stunning. The ability
I agree. I'm so glad you said that.
to to create vast sound spaces like he does is incredible. It was quite a feat, it seemed to me.
They're strong. His is particularly beautiful. He's very influenced by art. He always was. Helen Frankenthaler and several artists from that time. And that sense of space. That sense of space sometimes it reminded me of like Copland, how he kind of makes the music so wide. You know, you feel like there's air in there. Ken does the same thing. There's a feeling of a landscape. That's why I named the disc Contemporary Landscapes. I was thinking of Ken's piece. There's this kind of impressionistic landscape almost. And in fact, I think it's today. Yeah, I think it's today. Performance Today is playing that piece, that recording. They chose that as the one they wanted to play on their Performance Today show. So I guess they're feeling the same way. It's a truly beautiful work.
Do you know if Performance Today will go from a live recording or from the recording on the CD?
They're going from the recording on the CD. I think it's because we sent that to them, and I think that's the one they're using. So we have live recordings, but this one, of course, this one is a live recording, but I guess we didn't have any patch session. No, I will tell you that this is a live recording, no patch session, but so there might be an audience noise here or there. There could be a little cough. I mean, we couldn't. There's just some things we couldn't get out. So all of these four pieces are live recordings. So they have a very human quality, I guess, in that you'll hear a page turn sometimes, and which we can work on and not get when we're doing them in studio.
I guess it's been years since people have actually recorded in a studio. I guess that just doesn't happen much anymore, particularly in the US.
Particularly in the US, when I've done that, I've always done it overseas, either in England or in the Czech Republic. They do a lot of that where, you know, a composer, you'll go over with the composer and not perform, just play their music and it's recorded and then it exists that way, but without a performance. I think that that doesn't happen so much in the United States because the costs are really high. I mean, really high. It can cost tens of thousands of dollars to make a recording. So it's less expensive to make a live recording. So studio recordings are are rare. I mean, when we record for Noxos, we say studio. We're in our hall. We don't go anyplace else. We record in our hall, which we love. But their studio in that we record with an engineer there. We go back and record a section again. So, in the regular way that you do that. And that means we can be very careful of noises, of coughing, of every little detail of the sound of the room. So
You've had the same recording engineer for several years?
we've had Bernd Gottinger for several years. Bernd lives close to Buffalo. He lives in Fredonia, which isn't far, and he's the Tonmeister. He teaches the recording studio there. That's his emphasis. He's at the college teaching recording engineer. And he records all of our CDs for us, and he's really wonderful. He has a very, very good ear, very highly developed sense of color and palette and what is also very helpful, he knows our orchestra really well. He knows all the musicians. He knows their proclivities. He knows what he's going to have to, be sure to get a good take on that. He's a very kind man. He's a really gentle man. And so he helps us succeed. I mean, he really was able to record us in an encouraging way and making sure he's got everything covered when he puts the pieces together.
And I assume the microphone placement stays the same from recording to recording, or does it get customized?
It only gets customized if there's a reason for it. For instance, when we do Respighi and we're trying to get a sense of distance, like the trumpet in a Respighi piece is meant to be in the catacombs. He finds a way of putting it at a great distance so we can have that effect. But otherwise, he uses the same mic setup, and he tells me that his goal is to get it to sound exactly like it would sound from the dead center of the hall, so that it is a performance. It's not recorded individual strands that he puts together. It's the way it sounds in the middle of the hall. So, and he's really someone I trust completely. He's been great for us.
So what's up next after the holidays for you?
We go back to work. We're going to do a Mozart concert. Then we're going to do. I'm excited about doing a semi-staged Verdi La Traviata. We've been starting to do some minimally staged operas in our hall, and that's been a new thing for us. And then I do some traveling, a lot of traveling, a lot of work in the summer. So, and we're finishing up a beautiful recording for Naxos, which they're calling The French in Spain, and it has Debussy Iberia, which is one of the pieces I love so much, and Ravel, Alborada del Gracioso, and a piece by Jacques Ibert, Escale, which is also beautiful. Yeah, they're all tied to some place in Spain. The best. I mean, those composers. I mean, they knew how to make the music just shine. I mean, it's just incredible. So it's all French music, but with the emphasis on their love of Spain.
Imagine it's a challenge to try to keep the Spanish element, and I don't want to draw this too far, but the French lightness and transparency that I find in French music that I don't find, for example, in the Viennese schools.
Right, that's exactly what I love about it. First of all, many of these French composers never even went to Spain. They didn't go. I mean, I think Debussy spent one afternoon of his life at San Sebastian watching a bullfight. But they imagined Spain as a place of light, of flowers, of perfume. I guess if there maybe Paris was rainy and dark, then and they were thinking of Spain as some place of fragrance and beauty, and they made it sound like that. There's a lightness to how they express their love. They've got lots of the Spanish snappy rhythms and all of that, but
Sure.
in the end, it's like a sort of pastel a coloration, which I love.
Well, we're coming to an end, but I did want to mention I just ran across a video on YouTube of Maurice Ravel, one of the few video recordings of him, and they said that he was talking in it, but there was no sound, so I don't get that. But anyway, it was really wonderful to see him in 3 dimension. Normally, we only see,
Wow.
a 2D
I'm going to
picture.
try and find that. I've never seen that.
It
I've never
was
seen it.
it
I'd
was
love to.
from, and it's been colorized, but still very nice. I was impressed to see that. So,
Yeah.
oh, the other
Have you
thing,
ever heard the video that where Brahms is talking? And you hear the
no,
voice of Brahms. He's just
no.
introducing himself. And the wonderful, very touching thing is that his voice was a very high tenor, which I never imagined. I always imagined Brahms as,
Yeah, yeah,
somewhere in the lower register of the
yeah.
male voice.
Cellos
But
and
no,
bass.
he had a really, yeah, not so. He was a
Mhm.
very high tenor, and it's very, very sweet to hear him talking.
I understand he had a good sense of humor also. Uh, He
Yes, he
he
did. He
he would
did.
be one composer that I would love to talk with. Unfortunately, he has made himself unavailable, but anyway. Oh, and
Well, you can imagine that conversation.
yeah, just one final note, just so you know, in January, I'm dedicating my whole month to composer Deborah Kay. I think you know Deborah or know of her.
Yes, yes.
And
Oh,
she's
that's fantastic.
I feature her works and I feature excerpts from her interviews. So it's the first time I've dedicated it to one person, and she's really deserving, I think. So I just thought I'd mention it to you. You might find it interesting.
I'm gonna listen. So that's the month of January.
Yeah,
This has been so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for your very intelligent and wonderful questions.
I so appreciate talking with you. It's a real privilege. Hey, thanks again. Have a great
Thank you.
holiday, and we'll
Thank
talk
you.
again,
You
I
too.
hope.
Happy holiday.
Okay.
I hope so too. Thanks
All right.
so much.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ho, ho, ho. What a fantastic interview that was. JoAnn Falletta is definitely on my nice list this year. As for William, well, I'm still gathering some data. Stay tuned. Listening to William and JoAnn chat is like overhearing two old friends catching up. It's warm, insightful, and full of passion for music. JoAnn has given so much to classical music lovers around the globe, being named one of the great conductors by Gramophone magazine. Well deserved. She's in demand all over the world, celebrating 25 remarkable years with the Buffalo Philharmonic, and her 135, give or take, recordings are a true testament to her incredible impact. By the way, did you notice William's surprise announcement at the end of the video? That will be a wonderful way to start the new year. Now, here's an idea for the perfect holiday gift for the classical music lover in your life. Share this interview. Just head over to youtube.com/@AtlantaMusicCritic and spread the joy. As we wrap up this year, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications down below. And we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Who would you like William to interview next? Your suggestions are like cookies to Santa, absolutely cherished. And remember, folks, your support keeps the sleigh running. Visit patreon.com/AtlantaMusicCritic to lend a hand or a reindeer hoof. This is Santa signing off for now, wishing you a holiday season filled with music, joy, and a new year that's as bright as Rudolph's nose. Ho, ho, ho.